All right, buckle up, everybody. We're diving deep into this week's AI news.
Uh-huh.
And let me tell you, it's a lot. Discord's buzzing, Reddit's on fire,
Mm.
and the official announcements, well, they're flying in from every direction.
Feels like drinking from a fire hose sometimes, right?
Totally. So that's why we're here to help you sift through it all. What's really important, what's just hype. What did you totally miss in all the noise? That's our mission.
Exactly. AI is changing so fast it can make your head spin. One day it's a new model that can, write Shakespearean sonnets.
And the next.
Some company you've never even heard of snags $1 billion to build like AI-powered toasters or something. Okay, maybe not toasters, but you get the idea.
For sure. Speaking of big announcements, Salesforce dropped a bombshell this week. They're claiming they'll stop hiring software engineers in 2025.
Yeah, that got people talking.
To say the least. Their whole argument hinges on this Agentforce AI platform they're cooking up. They're saying it'll boost productivity by 30%.
Bold claim for sure.
No kidding. And naturally, Reddit's gone wild. Some think it's a PR stunt. Others are genuinely worried about the future of, their jobs.
Yeah, you can't blame them for that.
Not at all. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Let's say Salesforce actually pulls this off. What could that mean for the entire tech world?
Oh, that's a big one. I mean, if they can actually replace a big chunk of their engineering team with AI, that could set off a domino effect across the whole industry. Think about it. Other companies might feel pressure to do the same, right?
And AI automation would just explode everywhere.
Right.
So for anyone out there listening who's, currently a software engineer, what does this mean for them? Should they be freaking out?
I wouldn't say freak out, but it's definitely something to watch closely. The key takeaway here, I think, is that the whole landscape of software development might be shifting under our feet. Less about, traditional coding, maybe more about AI integration.
Prompt engineering, things like that.
Exactly. Or finding those really specialized niches where, human expertise is still absolutely critical.
So it's not about being replaced by AI. It's about figuring out how to work alongside it.
That's the key, I think.
Makes sense. Now, while we're on the topic of big money moves, Anthropic just raised a cool $2 billion. Their valuation is now a mind-boggling $60 billion.
Yeah, that's a lot of zeros. Shows how much faith investors have in their approach, which they call constitutional AI.
Constitutional AI. Huh?
Yeah.
I've heard the term thrown around, but honestly, what does it even mean?
At its core, it's about building AI systems that are bound by like a set of principles, almost like a constitution, get it? The goal is to make sure AI aligns with human values.
To prevent it from, going all Skynet on us.
Exactly, to avoid harmful or unethical outcomes.
Makes sense. But how do we even define those values in a way that an AI can understand?
That's the million-dollar question, or in this case, the $60 billion question, right? Different cultures, different societies, they all have their own values. And even within one culture, there's going to be disagreements about, what's right and wrong.
So Anthropic's challenge is to take all those complex, often subjective ideas about morality and turn them into something an AI can actually follow.
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking.
Wow, so it's not just about the tech itself, but having these deep philosophical conversations about ethics.
Right, it goes way beyond just coding.
Pretty heavy stuff. But moving on, let's talk about some of the shiny new models that are making waves. One that caught my eye is Unsloth AI's 5.4 model. Now, I know 5.4 doesn't exactly sound like a rock star.
It's not the most catchy name, no.
But trust me on this one, it's making some serious noise.
Oh, yeah. 5.4 is definitely turning heads. It's getting a lot of attention for its bug fixes and performance gains. It's even beating out some of the big names on certain benchmarks. And a big part of that success is because it's what they call llamified.
Okay, hold up. Llamified. You're going to have to explain that one. It sounds like something you'd do to a plushie, not an AI model.
Think of it this way. Llamified basically means that 5.4 is optimized to work really well with Meta's Llama framework. And Llama, that's like a set of tools for building large language models. So this compatibility, it just makes 5.4 way more versatile and easier for developers to work with.
Got it. So it plays nice with others in the AI sandbox.
Exactly.
But why should we care? What makes this model stand out in the, in the sea of AI models out there?
The really exciting thing about 5.4 is that it's open source. That means anyone can access the code, tinker with it, build on it. That's a game changer for innovation and collaboration in the AI world.
It's like opening up the AI toolbox and saying, hey, everyone come on in, let's build something awesome together. I like that. And speaking of building, let's talk about NVIDIA's Project Digits. Remember that announcement? the personal supercomputer for AI.
Oh, yeah, the one that was going to bring the power of, a data center to your desktop.
Right. Well, the Reddit detectives have been busy, and let's just say they're not totally sold.
The skepticism is understandable. NVIDIA's using some pretty strong language, personal supercomputer, But when you actually look under the hood at the specs, it's not immediately obvious why it's so much better than a high-end gaming PC or even a beefy laptop.
And that price tag, $3,000, that's giving people pause too. Even for the most hardcore AI enthusiast, that's a lot of dough.
Yeah, NVIDIA's going to have to make a stronger case for why Digits is worth that premium. They need to show us what it can do that other hardware can't. Show us the magic.
So it's not necessarily a flop, but they've got some work to do to convince the doubters. This actually brings up a really interesting point about how the AI community is changing. It's not just about passively reading headlines anymore. People are digging deeper, they're challenging assumptions, they're holding companies accountable.
Absolutely. And that's a good thing. We need that critical engagement to make sure AI development is driven by real innovation, not just, marketing hype.
Couldn't agree more. Now, let's switch gears and talk about something that's got the creative world buzzing. There's a new model called TransPixar that's making waves for its ability to, get this, preserve transparency in generated images.
Transparency, huh?
Now, that might sound like a minor detail, but it's a pretty big deal, especially for fields like game development, graphic design, even filmmaking.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. Why is transparency such a game changer?
So up until now, AI image generators, they've struggled with transparency. They could create amazing-looking objects and characters, but they'd be stuck on a solid background. Like, imagine a gorgeous painting trapped inside a picture frame. You can't really do much with it.
I see. It limits how you can use those images, especially in things like games or movies where you need things to blend seamlessly.
Exactly. But TransPixar, it changes everything. By preserving transparency, you can take those AI-generated elements and drop them into any background. The possibilities are endless.
Wow, so you could create like a super realistic 3D character using AI and just plop it right into your game environment.
No masking, no editing, nothing. Just pure creative freedom.
That's amazing. And think about the time and effort that could save.
Right. So this isn't just about, pretty pictures. TransPixar is a sign that AI is getting more sophisticated, tackling those finer details that make a big difference.
For sure.
Okay, before we wrap up this first part of our deep dives, let's do a quick lightning round of some other interesting AI tidbits. First up, some recent OpenAI updates have been causing problems. They're breaking custom instructions, and users are not happy.
Yeah. A good reminder that even the most advanced AI systems are still, works in progress.
And that updates don't always go smoothly.
Right. Companies like OpenAI, they need to be transparent about these issues and work closely with users to get things fixed quickly.
Agreed. Next up, a new chatbot called Quinn Chat has entered the arena. And the chatbot scene is getting pretty crowded these days. So what makes Quinn Chat special?
Well, it's built on this family of models called Quinn, which are known for being really good at both understanding and generating language. But the real kicker is that Quinn Chat is designed to interact with models that can process both text and images.
Wait, hold on. So you could have a conversation with this chatbot, show it a picture, and it would actually understand both.
Exactly. It's like a glimpse into a future where AI can seamlessly blend different types of information. Pretty cool, so.
That's wild. And last but not least, in a move that surprised just about everyone, Toyota is getting into the rocket business.
Yeah, what? Toyota's building rockets now.
Yeah, you heard that right. It might seem strange, but it actually highlights how AI is creeping into all sorts of industries, even ones you wouldn't expect.
So what's the connection between Toyota, AI, and rockets?
Well, AI is already a big deal in aerospace. It's used for things like optimizing rocket designs, planning trajectories, even making real-time decisions during flight. So it's not hard to imagine Toyota using AI in their space adventures.
So they could be using AI to design more efficient rockets, analyze flight data, stuff like that.
Exactly. This just shows that AI isn't just a digital thing anymore. It's having a real impact on the physical world in all sorts of unexpected ways.
Fascinating.
We've covered a lot of ground already in this first part of our deep dive. But stay tuned, because we're just getting started. We'll be back after a short break to delve deeper into some of these stories and explore what they mean for the future of AI.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's dig a little deeper into some of the things we've been talking about. Remember those bug fixes we mentioned for Unsloth AI's 5.4 model? Well, it's actually more than just routine patching. In AI, Even small bugs can cause big
Oh,
problems.
I see. So what kind of bugs are we talking about here? Like system crashes or, rogue chatbots going off the rails?
Not quite that dramatic. 5.4 was having trouble with its tokenizer. That's the part that breaks down text into units the model can understand. Imagine trying to read a sentence where, like, all the spaces are missing. It just wouldn't make sense, right?
Yeah, that sounds pretty confusing.
Exactly. And that's kind of what the model is dealing with.
So it's not about like grammar errors or anything. It's about how the AI is actually processing language at a really basic level.
Right. And then on top of that, there were some issues with how 5.4 was handling chat templates.
Chat templates.
Yeah, those are like blueprints for conversational AI. They help chatbots have those natural back and forth conversations.
Without them, I guess the conversation would feel really robotic and awkward.
Exactly. So these weren't just cosmetic glitches, they were impacting how the model understood and responded to users.
Okay, that's starting to sound a bit more serious.
It was. These bugs were affecting the accuracy of the model's output and slowing it down quite a bit. But the good news is, Unsloth AI was very upfront about the problems and released fixes pretty quickly.
Oh, good. So they're on top of it.
Yeah, they are. In fact, they actually saw a significant improvement in performance after they implemented those fixes.
That's good to hear. It shows they're committed to building a model that's, reliable and robust. But taking a step back for a minute, what does this whole situation tell us about AI development in general?
It highlights that even the most promising AI models are still works in progress.
They're not perfect.
Right. They require constant tweaking and improvement, just like any complex software. And just like with any software, there are going to be bumps in the road.
Bugs, glitches, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to the importance of that AI community we keep talking about.
Absolutely. Communities play a vital role in identifying these issues, sharing solutions, and ultimately making AI better for everyone.
It's like a collective effort to make these technologies work the way they're supposed to.
Right. It's like a giant brain trust all working together. Whether it's on Reddit, Discord, or dedicated forums, these platforms are becoming crucial for driving progress in AI.
And we saw that collective brain power in action with NVIDIA's Project Digits, right?
Oh, yeah. People were doing their research, comparing it to other hardware, really scrutinizing NVIDIA's claims.
And rightly so. I mean, $3,000 is a serious chunk of change. NVIDIA needs to prove that Digits is worth that premium.
They've got to show us the goods, not just tell us it's a supercomputer. We need to see what it can do that other hardware can't.
Concrete examples, real-world use cases.
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily a failure, but they need to bring more to the table to win people over.
Agreed.
I think what's interesting here is that it's not just big tech companies calling all the shots anymore.
You're right. The rise of open source models and affordable hardware is giving individuals and smaller companies a much bigger voice in the AI world.
It's like the power is shifting. Speaking of open source, we talked about Unsloth AI's 5.4, but there's a whole universe of open source models out there. What makes this approach so powerful?
Well, for one thing, accessibility. Open source models are free to use. Anyone can modify them, build upon them. It encourages collaboration and sparks innovation in a way that just wouldn't happen with closed proprietary systems.
It's like unlocking the potential of AI for everyone, not just the big players.
Exactly. It levels the playing field and gives researchers, developers, even hobbyists the chance to experiment, learn, and contribute to the field.
And this open approach seems to be driving innovation at an incredible speed.
Oh, absolutely. New models and tools are popping up all the time. It can be a bit overwhelming, honestly, but it's also incredibly exciting. It's like watching the future of AI unfold in real time.
It really highlights the need for those communities where people can discuss all these developments, share their experiences, and help each other navigate this crazy world of AI.
Couldn't agree more. Platforms like Reddit and Discord aren't just social spaces anymore. They're becoming essential hubs for the AI community. They provide a place to connect, learn from each other, and figure out where all of this is heading.
All right, let's zoom back in on some specific developments. Quinn Chat, the chatbot we talked about earlier, what sets it apart from all the other chatbots out there?
Right, because it feels like there's a new chatbot launched every 5 minutes.
It's getting hard to keep track.
I know. But QuinnChat has a few things that make it stand out. First, it's built on this family of models called Quinn, which are known for being really good at both understanding and generating language. But what's really cool is that QuinnChat is designed to work with what we call multimodal models.
Multimodal models. Now that sounds intriguing. but you're going to have to explain it for those of us who aren't AI wizards.
Okay, no problem. Basically, it means that QuenChat can process both text and images.
Wait, so you could have a conversation with it and show it a picture, and it would understand both?
Exactly. That's the idea.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. It hints at a future where AI can take in all sorts of different information and use it seamlessly. Think about the possibilities in education, healthcare, or even just for fun.
Okay, let's switch gears for a minute and talk about Salesforce's announcement. You know, the one where they said they're going to stop hiring software engineers in 2025?
Yeah, that was a big one.
That's a pretty radical move, and it's sparked a lot of debate. Some people think it's genius, while others are, predicting doom and gloom.
It's definitely a bold strategy, and it makes sense that people have strong opinions about it. Salesforce is basically putting all their chips on their AI platform, Agentforce. They're betting that it can automate a lot of the tasks that software engineers currently do.
So they're going all in on AI. But is it realistic to think that AI can actually replace human software engineers entirely? I mean, software development requires a lot of creativity and problem-solving skills.
You're right, those are important qualities. And it's a big open question whether AI can fully replicate those more nuanced human skills.
And then there are the ethical questions, too, like what happens to all those software engineers if their jobs are automated?
That's a crucial point. We can't just ignore the potential impact on people's lives. As AI becomes more and more capable, we need to have some serious conversations about the future of work and make sure that everyone benefits from these advancements.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it and the effect it has on society.
Exactly. AI is a tool, and it's up to us to use it wisely and make sure it's used for good.
I feel like that's been a recurring theme in our conversation today. Whether it's bug fixes, open source models, or the potential for AI to automate jobs, it always comes back to the human element.
It does. We can't just focus on the technical side. We have to think about the social and ethical implications, too.
Let's talk about one of the more visually interesting things we've seen. TransPixar, the model that can handle transparency in images. It might seem like a small detail, but it could have a huge impact, especially in game development.
Yeah, it's a really interesting development. For a long time, AI models have struggled to deal with transparency effectively. They could generate these amazing-looking objects, but those objects would always have a solid background.
So it's like you're stuck with this, digital cutout. You can't really integrate it into a scene properly.
Exactly, and that's where TransPixar comes in. By preserving transparency, it allows for the creation of game assets that can be layered and combined in all sorts of creative ways.
It's like giving game designers a whole new set of tools.
Right. And it could have a huge impact on the indie game development scene, where resources are often limited.
I can see that. It could level the playing field and allow smaller studios to create games that look just as good as the ones made by big-budget companies.
Absolutely. And beyond gaming, think about the potential for things like virtual reality, augmented reality, even special effects in movies.
Wow, the possibilities really are pretty vast.
They are. TransPixar is a sign that AI is getting better and better at handling those finer details that make a big difference.
All right, before we move on, let's circle back to Toyota and their unexpected move into rocket science.
Yeah, the car company building rockets. It's a head-scratcher for sure. But when you think about how AI is changing the world of aerospace, it starts to make a bit more sense.
Okay, break it down for me. How is AI being used in rocketry? I mean, that seems like a pretty specialized field.
More than you might think. AI is being used for a bunch of things, like optimizing rocket designs, planning trajectories, even making decisions in real time during flight. For example, AI algorithms can analyze huge amounts of data to figure out the most efficient rocket designs.
So they can make them lighter, use less fuel, things like that.
Right. And as AI gets more advanced, we can expect even more innovation in space exploration. Toyota's move just highlights how AI is breaking out of the digital world and impacting real-world industries in all sorts of unexpected ways.
It really shows how far AI has come.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears again for a moment and talk about the role of community in all of this.
Yeah.
We've touched on it throughout our conversation, but it's worth emphasizing again.
Absolutely. The AI world isn't developing in a vacuum. It's being shaped by a whole network of researchers, developers, and enthusiasts who are constantly pushing the boundaries.
It's a collaborative effort driven by people's passion and curiosity.
Exactly. And communities like the ones we see on Reddit and Discord, they're becoming so crucial for this whole process. They offer a space for people to exchange ideas, share knowledge, and have those critical conversations about where AI is headed.
And as we saw with NVIDIA and their Project Digits, they also serve as a check on hype and make sure that companies are being honest about what their technologies can actually do.
It's like a built-in accountability system. And it's also a great way for people to learn from each other and get support when they run into challenges.
Because let's face it, AI can be pretty intimidating if you're just starting out.
For sure. So having a community where you can ask questions and get help from people who have more experience is invaluable.
And we see this in the world of open source AI too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Open source AI thrives on collaboration and community contributions. Platforms like GitHub allow developers to share their code, work together on projects, and build upon each other's work, leading to a ton of innovation.
It's amazing that anyone with an internet connection can now access these powerful AI tools that were once only available to big corporations and universities.
It's really democratizing access to AI and opening up opportunities for people all over the world.
But with all this rapid development and open access, how do we make sure that AI is being used responsibly and ethically?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's something that communities are actively grappling with. We're seeing more and more discussions about the potential dangers of AI, things like bias, job displacement, even those existential risks that people talk about.
So it's not just about celebrating the cool new stuff, but also being aware of the potential downsides and figuring out how to mitigate those risks.
Exactly. And these conversations need to involve everyone, not just the tech experts. We need ethicists, social scientists, policymakers, and everyday people all contributing their perspectives. It's a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach.
It feels like we're at this really important point in the evolution of AI. The technology is advancing so quickly, it's becoming more accessible, and the potential impact on society is just enormous.
We really are at a crossroads. The choices we make now will determine how AI develops for years to come.
So what can our listeners do to be a part of this and help shape the future of AI?
Stay informed. Read articles, listen to podcasts like this one, and engage in the online discussions. The more you know about the potential benefits and risks of AI, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions and contribute to the conversation.
And don't be afraid to ask questions and challenge assumptions.
Right? Demand transparency from the companies that are developing and using these AI systems. Hold them accountable for their choices.
And support the organizations that are working to promote responsible AI development. And most importantly, use your voice. Talk to your friends and family about this stuff. Reach out to your elected officials and share your concerns. The future of AI isn't set in stone. We all have a role to play in shaping it.
Well said.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive. We've explored a ton of AI news this week, but there's one thread that keeps popping up.
What's that?
It's the human side of AI. No matter what we talk about, new models, crazy funding, or even rockets, it always circles back to how people are shaping this technology.
You're absolutely right. AI isn't just about algorithms and data. It's about us, the people creating it, using it, and living with it.
Which brings us right back to communities, something we've been highlighting throughout this whole episode.
And for good reason. They're crucial on so many levels. Think about it. They're spaces for sharing knowledge, working together, and having those tough conversations. Remember all the scrutiny around NVIDIA's Project Digits? That's the community in action, keeping things honest.
Right, making sure the hype doesn't outpace the reality.
Yeah.
But it goes deeper than that, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Communities remind us that AI isn't some abstract thing. It has real-world consequences, and we can't just ignore the ethical side of it.
It's easy to get swept up in the excitement of new models and fancy tech. But we have to remember that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Exactly. It's on all of us collectively to make sure AI is being used responsibly and ethically.
And that's where these communities are so valuable. They make information accessible, empower individuals, and make sure everyone has a seat at the table when we're talking about AI's future. So for someone listening who's thinking, okay, I want to get involved, where do they even begin?
First things first, get curious. Stay up to date on what's happening in AI. Read articles, follow the experts on social media, dive into those online discussions.
Don't just passively absorb it all.
Right. Ask questions, challenge assumptions, share your own ideas. Even if you don't think you're an AI expert, your voice matters. We all need to be part of this conversation.
And you don't have to do it alone. There are so many fantastic communities out there. Connect with people, learn from each other, and work together to make sure AI is used to make the world better, not worse.
That's the goal, right? Looking back at this week's news, it's clear we're at a really unique moment. AI is evolving faster than ever, more people have access to it, and the impact it can have, both good and bad, is growing exponentially.
So as we wrap up, what's the key message you want to leave our listeners with? What's the one thing you hope they remember from this deep dive?
The future of AI isn't some fixed destiny. It's being written right now, and we all have a hand in shaping it. So stay curious, stay engaged, and let's build a future where AI empowers us all.
Well said. Thanks for being with us on this deep dive into the world of AI. We'll be back next week with more news, insights, and conversations about the future of this incredible technology. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep that conversation going.